How's it going, guys? It's Rad and welcome to a Disc Priest macro guide for the patch 6.0.3. I think it's actually 6.0.4 now, but this will be relevant when you're playing Disc Priest for all of Warlords of Draenor. So yeah, I've had some suggestions on my Priest video, the Disc guide, to do a macro guide because you guys have questions. A couple things have changed since doing that guide, so I will basically be updating the guide and then discussing macros and stuff like that that'll help you guys out in the arena. Disc isn't an extremely macro heavy spec, however there's certain things you can do to help you out drastically, so I definitely would recommend watching this video completely. If you have any questions regarding, you don't understand something, or you need some clarification, or you think there's something that could be changed, just let me know in the comment section and I'll get back to you. So yeah, jumping right into things, I just wanted to discuss changes to the overall spec. In the Disc Priest guide, I did discuss using different talents in this, but I highly recommend using Mindbender now. Basically returns a crap ton of mana, and that'll make sure you never go as long as you're not spamming Flash of Lights like constantly. So Mindbender is really good. Plus it does way more damage, which can help when bursting. I essentially use it on cooldown because it's only a 1 minute cooldown, so it's a really effective ability. After that, I definitely use Divine Star and Wards of Mending. These are really good. Ward of Mending is really good now. Honestly, Clarity of Will can just get dispelled instantly, and Saving Grace is not worth it. So that's just because of the debuff, honestly. After that, I also use Power Infusion. This is really powerful for just burst Flash of Light spamming to get your team back up to max HP. Also, it reduces the mana cost by 20%, so if you're looking at my mana right now, I'm not going to go extremely fast. Obviously, I'm out of combat right now, but I'm not going to go that quick. So it is a powerful ability, and it lasts forever. It's like, what, 20 seconds? So that's really good. So yeah, moving into guides, or moving to the macros rather, there is updates to the Glyphs too. You're going to want to be using 2 new Glyphs when you're fighting different comps. Now, I highly recommend using Glyph of Shadow Magic. Sorry about that, guys. Basically, what this does is it's your aura mastery. 5 seconds after casting Fade, you're immune to interrupts and silences. So this is really good for, if you need to spam out those heals and you can't get kicked, you just need to get your team back up. This is really powerful. But it does increase the cooldown of Fade by 60 seconds. So Fade does go up to 1.5 minutes. However, this is, really powerful. It did get rid of, I'm pretty sure it's called Focused Will, which was basically our aura master is Disc Priests. So this is basically essentially replacing the Focused Will ability. After that, there's another ability called Glyph of the Inquisitor. You could swap this out for a variety of abilities. Most likely I'd be swapping out Shadow Magic. Basically what this does here, it's your replacement for Shadow Word Death. If you weren't familiar with last patch, Shadow Word Death was an ability that all priests can use, and basically what would happen if you glyphed into Shadow Word Death, you could cast Shadow Word Death at any HP on the enemy, and if they weren't below 20%, it would hit like 5k back at you. So what this was like after 2 seconds. So this is useful for if a priest or a mage is polymorphing you. You cast it right as he's done casting his poly. So you go into poly for 1 second, and then the damage hits you, knocks you out of poly. So it's basically a way to counter, polymorphs, and I think that's pretty much all it can do is just polymorphs. But it basically is an anti-mage CC counter. So what this does here is it makes your Holy Fire and Power Word Solace deal 25% initial damage, but 20% of that damage is dealt back to you. So as you can see, it's the same thing as Shadow Word Death now. So that's pretty much what you're going to want to be running if you're going against a mage. You can use Fade too if you're not comfortable, or Glyph of Shadow Magic if you're not comfortable with Shadow Word Deathing. But Glyph of Inquisitor is extremely powerful to get yourself out of CC, because now the game is really CC reliant, and polymorph is still 8 seconds, so that's something that's really good to get out of. So that's just some advice. Stepping actually into the macros for once, I've got a lot here you can see. Most of them are pretty much duplicates of the same thing, so it's pretty simple. I'm just going to go across the row and explain everyone. So the first one is just use 13. It basically just uses my trinket, really simple. If I ever replace my trinket here, it'll just update it so I don't ever have to worry about having the wrong trinket on. I don't know, just something I like having. After that is my aura mastery glyph. Basically just shows tooltip. It does stop casting, and then it casts fade. So, you know, when I need to use my fade, my focus will rather ability, it'll do so. And I just use the little aura mastery icon just because I like using that. And you want to make sure you do show tooltip, so it can I'll actually show the tooltip of this. So after that, you see this buff macro. This is actually really helpful. A lot of people don't use it, but when you're in arena, you want to constantly rebuff. And by rebuffing, you're going to make sure that when the enemy wants to dispel you, they're going to have to go through your buffs first. So say, you know, my teammate has a bop on them, you know, the bubble, and the enemy mage wants to take it. If he just has bop and that's it because he's cleaned from all his buffs, first try with spell steal, the mage will grab the bop. But if we stack our buffs on top of the bop, you know, if he casts bop and then we cast, you know, fortitude and whatever the pally buffs are and whatever the other classes buffs are, when the mage goes to steal the bop, he'll have to steal all those buffs before he can actually get to the bop, and that's 1 second per buff. So if he has like 3 to 4 buffs, it's 3 to 4 seconds, and by that time I'll be able to top that person off who has the bop on. So what my buff macro does is it just slash casts my power word fortitude at myself. Now, why is this important? If you're targeting a teammate and they're out of range or out of line of sight and you want to rebuff, you're going to be trying to cast the buff on them. Now, this is, you know, it's not going to work because they're out of line of sight or out of range or whatever. So by casting it at yourself automatically, it will affect them. It'll actually reach to them because the buff has a huge range, but it'll be guaranteed because it's casting it on yourself. So this is just something I like to use, really good for, you know, making sure you are constantly buffed up. Next one is pretty complex macro here. Obviously all these will be in the description just for you guys to copy and paste, and I'm just going over them right now so you guys can understand how they work. So this is my death macro. It's not actually Shadow Word Death, it's using the Holy Fire ability. Now what it does is it cancels my shields on myself. So basically what would happen, you know, if you have a shield and you do this death, it's gonna like damage you in a shield, so that just kind of negates the whole effect and it won't work. So it takes off all my shields and then it casts Holy Fire at my target if it exists. Then it stops the macro. However, if the target does not exist, it's going to cast Holy Fire at any enemy close to me. So this is really good because you can just spam it, it does everything for you, and it'll get the job done. So definitely copy paste this into your macros, extremely important. You don't have room for show tooltip just because it's such a large macro, actually 254 out of 255 characters used. So just make sure you just copy paste it correctly or it won't work. Next is my Dispel 1 macro, basically just purifies party 1. Next is my overall Dispel macro. If I target a enemy, it'll actually do Dispel magic, which will take their buffs off. Let's see if I can target an enemy here. You could realize down here it changes to actually, you know, the what is it, Steel Magic or whatever, the Dispel magic ability. But if I target myself, it goes back to the regular Purify ability. So it's just a quick simple macro to switch. I know this is what Soda uses, I got it from his stream, and yeah, it's really helpful. This kind of consolidates things into one button that you can spam. And yeah, after that, just my Dispel 2 macro just purifies my party 2, so I can, you know, not even have to target them and just get that. You know, dispelling is really powerful, so you want to make sure you're dispelling as much as you can. Don't dispel stupid stuff, but make sure that, you know, your teammates cleaned up and your team will be ahead if they're, you know, don't have any debuffs or any dots on them. So dispelling is definitely strong. After this is my fake macro. I don't know how I feel about this completely. I haven't been using it recently just because I'm, you know, still getting used to disc overall and how it plays. But if you guys are familiar with disc, one of the biggest things is when you go to cast Penance, people are going to kick Penance because Penance is, you know, channeled ability. They have what, like 2 or 3 seconds to actually kick Penance. So you could do one of two things. You can use your aura mastery into Penance. Just casting Fossilite, but aura mastery into Penance so they can't kick you, or you can do a fake Penance, which is something that's kind of complex. So I'm gonna drag this on my bars here and use it for a second. So essentially what this macro does is it shows this tooltip, it stops casting, and then casts Penance. So basically, if you press it once, it'll cast Penance, but if you press it again, it'll stop casting Penance. So if you know they're gonna kick you, you can be able to, you know, just press it again to stop it, so they won't be able to kick you. So I can press it again, and they'll stop. So this is extremely good for, you know, baiting out kicks or, you know, trying not to get interrupted, because interrupting is extremely powerful now. So I don't know if you guys are just trying to get used to the game and you're new to everything, this is something really good to get used to. Personally, I'm so used to using regular penance, but yeah, I would highly recommend trying to use this at least a couple times and see how you think. It's something that's strong, and I really haven't seen any like gladiators, anybody use it before, so I think this is something that's really new and good. So yeah, after that is my fake scream macro. I've got this from Swayze. So basically what it does is it's a resurrect, but it also does a roar. So if I'm running up to an enemy and they think I'm going to fear them, I'm going to do this roar thing. And it's going to show the icon, or it's going to show the player action for Psychic Scream because it's doing the roar, but it's not actually screaming them. So they're going to think my fear is on cooldown and they think I missed the fear. However, in actuality, I still have it on cooldown, so then I could just use regular Psychic Scream later to, catch them off guard. It's some advanced stuff, when you're playing with people's minds and messing with them. If they're smart, they're going to realize that you did do roar because of the chat emote thing. But besides things, this is just something cool that you can do. I like it, messing with people. So yeah, after this is my focus Dispel macro. This is actually really good. I focus healers all game, so when they're buffing themselves or doing something where I need to take it, all I have to do is just press one button, and I don't even have to focus them or I don't have to do anything, and it'll just dispel magic, so I can start stealing off their buffs and start cleaning them up for swaps. Next is my focus silence macro, just very simple /cast or stop casting and then cast at focus silence. You want to make sure when you do your silences you do stop casting before, because if you're casting something like Penance and you want to go to cast your silence, it's not going to work because you're going to be finished casting your Penance first, and by then they'll have their cast off. So just make sure when you do silences or kicks or anything that is immediate, you do your stop casting before. Next is my leap 1, basically just leap of faiths party 1 and leap of faith party 2. All these silence macros are essentially the same. This one just casts silence, but it has the stop casting in before, so this is just my main target silence. This is my arena 1, 2, and 3 silences, just basic, kind of covering all my bases here with the silence ability, just because that's one of my strongest abilities right now. After that is probably one of the most powerful abilities, or powerful macros I have here, and it's one of the simplest. Many people, or many priests rather, you'll go into arena and you'll just put Fear Ward on yourself right in the beginning. And I just get so happy when I see this, when I'm facing another priest who's got Fear Ward on him right in the beginning, because I will just steal the Fear Ward off using all my Dispels. So when I go to Fear, it's going to be a full Fear on him. So what this macro does here is it just casts at yourself Fear Ward. Most people, they're worried about targeting a teammate and casting Fear Ward on them by accident. This will make sure that it casts on yourself. So I have it as B. So if I see a priest coming in, it's really obvious when they're coming in. Even if he's spectral guys, he's coming into fear, I pop the Fear Ward on myself right there, and he'll come in and he'll fear me, but I'll be safe because I've got Fear Ward on. So this is just something you can just, oh crap, he's coming, hit the button, and done. So definitely recommend not putting Fear Ward on yourself in the beginning of matches, just because it's a dumb thing to do, and other priests are going to take it off, or good players are just going to steal it. So I highly recommend just putting it on right as you think you're going to get feared, or right as you think people are going to fear you. Maybe you realize that their fears are coming off cooldown and they're going to set something up. Just pop it on yourself like 10 seconds before they start their CC chain, and most times they won't have time to take it off, or in the process of trying to take off your Fear Ward, they'll CC chain will overlap or delay or something, and it won't go through. So yeah, that's essentially all my macros. For targeting, like all my pre-specific macros for targeting, I don't use a Razor Naga anymore. I got a different mouse from my roommate, so I've been playing without using Razor Naga buttons, which is extremely different. I actually like it a lot more than using the Razor Naga. It's very comfortable using just a basic Logitech mouse, and I don't know, I enjoy it more. But many people ask me, how do you target or how do you focus your people in arena without actually having to click on them or whatever? So here's something simple, and here's a good tip that I like to do. You basically just have a target party 1, target party 2, and then target yourself or /tar player. So this will target yourself, and what I do is I keybind that to target party 1 is mouse wheel up, like mouse wheel scroll up. Target party 2 is mouse wheel scroll down. Target self is middle mouse button or mouse 3. So when you go actually into keybinds, you'll be able to see here that I have mouse wheel up, mouse wheel down, middle mouse. So how to set these is really simple. Just click on it and scroll with the mouse wheel up, and it keybinds. So yeah, that's really simple, and how I do my focusing is actually shift mouse wheel up, shift mouse wheel down, and shift middle mouse just for 1, 2, and 3. So these are some good abilities and some good macros to use. I highly recommend using them. If you have any questions, just let me know in the comments. Talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching. Peace.